Our next speaker are dead friends. Our next speaker is Diane Formbacher, and she brings a woman's voice, a woman's perspective to this debate.
My name is Diane Formbacher. I'm a mother of 2 boys here in the state of New Jersey. I am also a cannabis patient, but I do not have a card, as post-traumatic stress disorder is not a qualifying condition in New Jersey. Cheryl Miller, I'm here especially for her and all the patients here in New Jersey. She was a friend of mine. I eulogized her at her funeral. When I first met her, I met her at the Million Marijuana March in New York City in the late 90s. It was probably 90 degrees that day, maybe a 75% humidity. And for any of you who are familiar with multiple sclerosis, you stay away from humidity as much as you can because it will complicate your illness. But there she was, in a stretcher, laying almost completely flat with a fan in her face and a teddy bear under an umbrella. And to be honest, I really thought, someone outside who looks like that, I probably shouldn't wonder if she's dead or not. But it crossed my mind. She really looked like she was laying in a casket. She had traveled from New York, or from New Jersey to New York. And after getting to know her for a while, I know that every single bump, every car brake, hurt her. And yet she kept going. She went to congressmen's offices. She was at Barb Barr's office, was laid upon the floor. People stepped over her. Politicians ignored her. Some of them couldn't. I think there's some shred of humanity left. But in the course of our work and suffering here in New Jersey fighting for our program, I've witnessed people testifying who have come directly from hospice, who are having their vitals checked as they testify, over and over and over again. Prior to some of these hearings, we would hear about the dangers of obesity, none of which marijuana can hurt a person like obesity. And yet, patients who are suffering can't have it. Why don't you just try morphine or nothing else? We as humans should have the right to choose what works for our bodies. But in the state of New Jersey, that only means for some people, and very few at that. I implore Governor Christie to stop making people come from hospice to testify over and over again, knowing full well that they'll never see that law passed so long as he's governor. I'm imploring him to change who he is. I'm imploring him to forget that he was once a person who didn't think about the suffering of others and engaged us fully in the truth about medical marijuana and its efficacy for so many conditions that should qualify a patient in this state for access consistently and safely. We won't forget Cheryl Miller, and I'm so grateful to all of you here and seeing your fight, seeing all that you go through, all that you struggle through. I could lose my kids. They've already come to my house for hemp of all things. I have represented and court advocated for many people who have done the same. And all that they ever did was try to care and have a safer alternative and offer it to other people. This program needs to change. It is not a medical marijuana program. I don't know what it is, aside from a failure at this point. Thank you all for being here.
Our next speaker is perhaps the only member of our coalition who's ever run for Congress. Or was it the Senate? Or was it, okay, Senate, Congress, maybe even governor? So,
U.S. Senate.
oh, I'm sorry. All right, okay, my bad. You got a lot of insiders on our coalition. Ed, come on up and share some thoughts with us, please.
Well, first I'd like to say I consider Cheryl Miller like the mother of the medical marijuana movement here in New Jersey. I met her and Jim in the late 90s also, and I'd say there was a time when I felt like I was crazy, and meeting Cheryl and Jim made me realize that nope, I'm on the right side. I'm on the side of righteousness in this fight. I remember seeing Cheryl a few times. I really felt bad. Like, I really felt like, wow, you know, if she can voice her opinion about this righteous cause, then all of us should. You know, I don't know, I don't want to cry, because I remember seeing this lady and realizing how dedicated she was to the cause. I remember at the time taking flack from people thinking I was a wacko and a nut for advocating legalization. And then I see Jim and Cheryl, and I know, like, once again, that I was on the side of righteousness. You know, I myself am pretty much a total legalizer. I think it should be legal totally. But I am a medical marijuana patient. I read all the science on marijuana, you know, long before I was diagnosed with bone cancer. I got diagnosed with bone cancer myself in 2000. I didn't even think I'd be here this long, to be honest with you. I got lucky. I can still get tumors. I got 3 of them in me right now, but they've never turned malignant. I deal with pain. Today, I'm in a lot of pain. But I felt that our New Jersey's medical marijuana program, when it first got implemented, I felt it was a step in the right direction, but I thought it was so flawed, I couldn't get on board. I even criticized it publicly a few times. You know, now it seems to be like everyone's criticizing it. Christie totally like wiped it out, if you ask me. He made it unworkable. You know, I hope Christie goes off and tries to run for president. Which, by the way, I think he's totally not electable nationally. West Coasters already have lined up. They're ready for him. You know, the West Coasters, the people who unanimously voted for legalization in like 12 states out west alone, they're waiting for Governor Christie to get on a national platform. And you know, you got millions and millions and millions of marijuana users on the West Coast who are waiting to say no to Christie. So, you know, everyone in here, don't worry, he will never be president. just because of his marijuana stance alone, you know, he will never be president. You know, one of the problems I think, you know, it's so hard to get on a program. I think paying money to get on a program. I mean, there are people here that have absolutely no money. You're expected to pay a couple $100 to be on a program. That you're on a list. There are people who paid their money in here that have not received not one single gram of marijuana. And we know that we can easily, you know, within a couple $100 yards of this building, we can get some marijuana. You know? But then you got to deal with thugs and quality controls and lack of quality control, should I say. But the marijuana program here now, even the 10% THC level, I can find marijuana better than that on the street. You know, I think that's, you know, that I myself have refused to even apply for New Jersey's medical marijuana program. You know, I got my first medical card in California in 2006. I've gone back and forth. I've lived out there for a few years. I think the program out there works. It has flaws. Everything does. Nothing's perfect. But I think it works. This program in New Jersey does not work. I mean, when I was in California, I was constantly telling people, you know, you want to get your card, fly out here. Within a few hours, you can have your medical marijuana card. Like within 72 hours. Sometimes if you really work at it, you can do it the same day. You can get a medical marijuana card in California within, I'm going to say for now, 72 hours. First day, you go get your ID. You go see a doctor. The next day, you're buying marijuana. And it works. You know, it's a lot cheaper. You can fly out there, get your medical marijuana card. And, you know, I don't want to say it, I guess, but I will. You know, U.S. Mail is the best medical marijuana delivery service in the world. Drop it in the mail and you can leave it here. I do it all the time. Yeah, I'm done. But anyway, just yeah, I can talk all day about this. Okay, but you know, send a message to Governor Christie that he's totally wrong on this issue. You know, totally 100% wrong. I feel bad for Megan and her daughter. I think this should shame